Okay, should be live. Now we wait and see if anyone is here to talk about the world of mobile games. And now for the echo. Now we wait. Perfect. Alright. Everyone is very excited to talk mobile games, I'm sure. Waiting for the lovely, beautiful, awesome people to show up. Demi Crow, look at you. First up, as always, with the Jack Bro Remake 2021. If you say it enough, it's legally obligated to happen. That's just the truth. So, today, running a little short on time, but before we get into the show, I just want to give a little bit of heads up for anyone watching live. Mostly going to be talking about, in terms of news, the only thing really out there is the Codename X. But, besides that, it'll be a lot of questions, if we have any questions. If not, expect around an hour or less of talky talk, just because the real life is mean to me and does not want to give me any free time. And I'm already starting late. I got home an hour ago. So, pray for my day job. That's all I can say. But hey, let's get into the show. Alrighty. How's it going, everybody? And welcome to Shin Megami Tensei Network, link 213. I'm your host who never plays mobile games, Spencer Presley. And joining me today is the lovely, awesome live audience, which currently includes Demi Crow, Molten Sky Iron, YQ, Killamo, and Zide. Or Zaid. I'm pretty sure I ruined both, but hey, maybe I will be... maybe I'll be right on one of them. Who knows? So yes, solo show today. Not a whole lot going on in the world, but hey, a whole heck of a lot more happening now than there was at the beginning of the day. So this is being recorded live on Tuesday, April 13th, 2021. The second time I said Zaid. Okay, so Zaid is correct. All right. Zaid like Raid, I think. But yeah, so big news. Let's get it out of the way. I'm your dumb host, Spencer. No one really seems to care, but that's the problem. Oh, hey, actually, real quick piece of housekeeping. Thanks to everyone on YouTube. We hit 3,000 subs today. That is really, really crazy, especially considering, I think this time last year I had 300 subs, so that's a pretty good increase in time. Especially considering my job in making videos has increased a lot, but I know I have a long way to go in terms of the quality there. So, if you are a subscriber on my YouTube channel, or if you just watch them at all, thank you so much. That number means a whole heck of a lot to me. But hey, no one's here to catch me being a big old crybaby over YouTube sub numbers. I'm here to talk about Codename X. Codename X was... my personal history of this is very weird. So, basically, I got a Discord message out of nowhere from my good friend Gab Mew. And Gab basically hit me up and was like, yo, check out this teaser trailer. No context, no nothing. I look at it, it's like a re-upload from Gamatsu. And when I see it, I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. But I'm like, it's a minute long. And it's a minute long and I have no idea what's going on. It looks like pretty whatever, stuff where, no platform, no real name, no info at all. So I was very confused. And I was like, okay, well, I'm sure it means something to somebody, so I'll move on with my life from there. And what's so funny is... I then, after looking at it again... No, I didn't look at it again. I messaged somebody, and I was like, so what is this? I don't even get what it is. And they're like, oh, it's probably Persona-related. What? The trailer is, I guess, kind of. And then, if you actually stop and slow down... Because it's very short. It's, a minute long. This teaser trailer literally has... images of Persona 5's world, in it, very blatantly. And while the art is definitely not Persona, classic Persona inspired, what you'd be used to, the world and the 3D models are definitely Persona 5's engine. So, interesting things. We know that the game is codenamed X. It is a series of it is over 10 million copies sold, has a large worldwide fan base. It is a okay. One of the quotes that came out for this is it's the first mobile game in a popular Japanese console game spin-off. That's very not true. There are a bajillion phone spin-offs for Persona, just no one really cares about any of them. And like, you could kind of include DX2. I don't know if that's like an insult to one or the other, but hey, there you go. The other one is we know it's being developed by Perfect World Games. So Perfect World Games, if you are not aware, has been around for about 16 years now. I mostly know them for obviously their MMORPG Perfect World 1 and 2. Some of their other games. I knew about this one. Okay, I was like, there's something Perfect World did or didn't do that, like, I was really, really going to be interested in, and that was Final Fantasy Type 0 Online. So, fun Final Fantasy, like, tangent. During, like, the era of Final Fantasy... Oh my gosh, what was it? During the era of Final Fantasy Type 0 finally coming out, they had announced, like, a mobile spin-off developed by Perfect Worlds, and it was going to be actually put on Vita. That version got canned. And according to the internet, it had a soft launch in America, but I'm pretty sure got canceled. It was made in Unity, had some features from the game kind of pulled in, MMO aspects, all that stuff there. But yeah, so actually, I think Type 0 Awakening is a pretty good kind of comparison for what game you might be looking at. Taking a very popular JRPG series, making it a mobile phone MMORPG light, and just kind of reusing assets, making this pretty cheap but easy to update on a regular basis, taking place in the world with maybe some characters, but not necessarily kind of being super integral to the plot and not having to do anything at all with the main staff. Like, no one from Atlas is probably going to work on this outside of a producer's role. So, Perfect World, making it the codename thing for it all, but basically being confirmed already as of now that it's Persona. The only other thing we really have to go off for is there is a description that basically says one of the two characters, a male high school student, talks about a place or a palace born of twisted desires, so really making it even more obvious whether you wanted to or not. But yeah, so kind of an interesting concept. My whole thing for it comes to this of, like, out of all the ways I thought that Persona was going to continue, a Chinese-only mobile game spin-off was definitely not one of them. Now, just to, like, kind of put a little bit more context, mobile spin-offs are not that uncommon. Chinese mobile spin-offs are even less uncommon. Like, I just found out, apparently, like, a month ago or so, a brand new Devil May Cry game, like, partially worked on by, like, a Chinese developer and some people at Capcom, had just come out. And it's not like it's a gacha. Like, just because it's a mobile game doesn't always mean it's going to be gacha elements and stuff for it. But, like, it's just these, like, really crazy things that are only coming out in China and have a weird amount of production value. Like, not in terms of, like, comparing it to console games, but mostly just, like, it's really weird in terms of, like, the production value you see for, like, games like this. Like, you just don't really see that with games in the West like that at all. Let's go see what the chat says. I've kind of been ignoring you all a little bit. So yeah, thank you very much for the congrats on 3K. Juliar with the most prominent thing ever. Yeah, it gives major Persona vibes unironically. I cannot, like, believe some of the weird, like, look at us shitting on people Twitter accounts this morning who saw that trailer and were like, lol, Persona vibes, like, that's gotta be embarrassing. And then it's like, no, this is actually a Persona. Like, how has the joke been, us making, well, not us, I've never done this, but how has the joke been, oh, we're going to make fun of people for thinking everything is Persona, and now these same fans can't tell when something is a Persona game. So that's just extra funny for me. Rito, so Rito says, I don't want Atlas to step into mobile games. Unfortunately, Atlas has never not been in mobile games. They've been on mobile games since flip phones. They did early stuff at the iPhone era and Android with SMT1, 2, and If. And even now with DX2 and licensing other aspects out to it. I'm honestly surprised it's taken this long for something kind of big to come out of it. But also, we still have absolutely no idea if Codename X is actually even going to be big at all, so it's very pie in the sky. I'm curious what everyone's going to think about it. I feel like with the kind of ambiguity of, like, this teaser trailer was very much, it lived up to its name. It was a tease and it was a trailer. And I think, like, once you get a gameplay showcase, that might help a little bit, or even a Western announcement, like saying, hey, here's this teaser for a game that's not even coming to your country, you're already going to be kind of fighting an uphill battle there. But I would say, though, Rito, like, I get it. Like, I'm someone, like I said at the top of the show, I'm not huge into mobile games. I don't play a lot of games on my phone. I don't really like to play games on my phone. I have handhelds for when I'm out and about, and I have my PS5 and my Switch for when I'm at home. So I definitely kind of get it there, but to, like, say, no, don't ever do mobile games, like, when I say, like, hey, let all games come to all systems, like, man, hey, when Persona comes out on more systems and when SMT comes out on more systems, like, an honest-to-goodness question, why is it Nocturne on phones? Nocturne Remastered could totally be on phones. It could totally run on phones. Could totally... I mean, just look at all the people running their Android emulators. That's enough proof for you already. But, like, you could sell that on phones. You could, like maybe if Apple wanted to cut a deal, that would be really crazy. But, like, if Apple cut a deal and put SMT3 Nocturne Remaster on phones, yeah, it would still be the same game and it would have its own kind of set of issues there, but hey, be SMT back on phones and it could totally run there. It's not like it's a fast-paced action game. Alright. What the hell is this game, says the Sheba Master. The problem is we don't really know outside of it's going to probably be an MMORPG light. I would not worry that it's a gacha game, thankfully. Kind of going back at a little bit more of Perfect World's pedigree or their past games. Perfect World, let's see what else we've done. We've done Hot Dance Party. We've also done Pocket Pet Journey West, Battle of the Immortals, which sounds very familiar, but then looking at it immediately did not. Either Saga Odyssey, Neverwinter, which may be... Okay, yeah, it was part of the Neverwinter D&D series. Perfect World Mobile came out apparently, but yeah, it's a company that's basically just been MMOs. Like, honestly, their biggest and best thing that most people are probably going to know about is going to be either Perfect World 1 and 2 or that Final Fantasy Type 0 online game that never really had a full release. And I guess if you played Dungeons and Dragons Neverwinter, which, like, I cannot believe apparently came out over 6 years ago. And oh, this was also an MMO. Yeah, so they've literally just done nothing but, like, MMOs, and a lot of them are all free to play. So MMO is a very safe bet. MMO on mobile, I know, doesn't always kind of translate to instant success, but I'm sure Sega's looking at this opportunity as like, Persona 5 MMO, of course, please, roll in the money trucks. Like, if they can even, like, strike a little bit of luck with mobile, they will jump on it. That being said, Sega does not have the best track record. One of their biggest opportunities that has just been a total flop with them, the Sakura Wars reboot just had a mobile game release, I think it was like last year, had hundreds of millions of dollars in advertising, and nobody's playing it. Nobody's enjoying it. Nobody cares about it. It's only out in Japan, and it's just been a total bomb. And so that's probably not even coming to the West. And obviously, Sakura Wars is infinitely more obscure than Persona 5, but it's not always about the property. It's almost more of kind of like, is there like, I feel like with mobile games for me, it's that like has to be that mixture of nostalgia and entertainment. Like, as much as I'll dog on gacha games, there's a reason people play Grand Blue. There's a reason people play Fire Emblem Heroes. Like, the gameplay is either what gets them, or it's the nostalgia of what kind of brings people in there. Got a super chat by Zaid. Thank you so much. Keep up the great work. Hope we can do an episode together soon. This platform is one of my favorites. Hey, man, I appreciate it so much. I am so behind on my own life in terms of it, but I will promise we can set up something soon. Thank you so much for the super chat, man. But yeah, so Anime for the Win says, kind of feels like people blowing this out of proportions. Yeah, but I honestly feel like for what it was, like, it didn't even get trending. It wasn't even like people are kind of like playing a guessing game. It's like, I think it's like just super kind of timid. I don't know if making a teaser trailer with a fake name was a bad idea. Like, my only guess is it's Codename X because your Phantom Thief is a make-your-own avatar. And so the whole point is, like, you are your own Phantom Thieves or something or whatever. Like, it's a super easy premise to sell. It's a super easy premise to make into a game, but is this a game that I want to play, you know? Like, is it just going into Mementos and having randomly generated dungeons on your phone? Is it just going to be recycled music? It's got so many unanswered questions that I think for mobile games like this, until you either get it in people's hands or just give us a dump of information, it's really hard for anybody to be excited. Juliar says, I still don't understand if it's an official Persona game based on or based on Persona. I've seen lots of people saying both. So for this, it just goes back to the whole canon thing. Anything with the name Persona is Persona. There's no timelines to worry about. Play whatever you want to play. Go with it like that. If they're smart, they'll call this Persona. But I mean, this is also from the same publisher who put out DX2, which is probably SEO-wise like one of the worst names. Like, I mean, hey, trust me, if you put in DX2, I'm doing it right now into Google, the game comes up. Don't worry, there's nothing else in the world called DX2, but there's literally nothing else. It's just SMT stuff, which, hey, I guess you got it. You know what, actually, I need to, like, look at that. Why is it called DX2? This is one of those weird things of, like, I'm sure they've said it, but I just cannot get over it. And a lot of it is people just, like, apparently, like, actual formulas, like, getting asked about this. Let's see. Of the most official place, the DX2 Wikia. And... oh, it's Devil Downloader. So D times 2. It's a Devil Downloader app. As a fan of the series, I would just like to collectively say I think that's a fucking stupid excuse and a stupid way to name your game. But guess what? It's mobile game, so it doesn't really matter. Chat, do you like the name DX2 standing for Devil Downloader D 2 times? I need to know if I'm blowing this out of proportion. Khalil, thank you so much for joining in the chat. Anime for the Win 989 says, has Persona 5 just been an exclusive of the whole heist genre? Sly Cooper Glabwood. Oh man, that's too real. Like, I love Sly Cooper. I saw some dumb meme of just like, man, Sly Cooper's giving me real Persona 5 vibes. And I'm like, oh god. I love Sly Cooper. Like, there's no bad Sly Cooper game in the whole bunch. But yeah, still waiting for that TV show that is definitely never happening. Any game that gives Persona vibes, I will avoid now. Unless it's Persona 2. I'll say this, Persona 2 definitely does not have Persona 5 vibes. Unless you're talking about Joker. Debbie Crow says, so this means that if we contact Atlas, they'll fund a Jack Bros remake if you choose to make one, but they'll need to live and make a company in China. Yeah, so like, oh, man, I think if Ladybug, the guys who made that Strange Journey freebie Jack Bros Basically 2 game, Metroidvania, I bet you if they like made a good pitch document to them, especially after the success of their Toho game, I bet you Atlas would fund it if they were like, hey, we want to do a crazy Jack Bros reboot and make it a full-on like Metroidvania with still twin-stick shooter elements. I bet you they could get that greenlit. They'd probably have to publish it. Like I doubt Atlas would like publish it, but I think Sega would give up the rights for sure. King Norakami, thank you so much for congratulating me. Zaid says, I love the idea of getting more Phantom Thieves content in any capacity. Just hoping that they just run with the Phantom Thieves, assuming voice actors decide to come back. That's a good question, because if this is a Chinese-only game, we'd have to get a whole new voice cast, because there's no Chinese dub for anything Persona 5, so that'd be kind of interesting, actually. Shima Master, SMT3 would not run at 2 frames per second. Like, if you're using, like, a relatively new iPhone or even an iPad, it fucking runs better than some PS4 games. It's kind of sad. Like, I was looking at Genshin Impact on my wife's iPad. She got, like, the new iPad Pro, and it's insane. It runs at, like, twice the performance and resolution, and is, like, portable setting, and obviously, like, an iPad's, like, $1,000 or whatever, so, but it's, like, still, like, like, Apple, say what you will about them, they make their new phones and tablets really fucking powerful. 97th Arcana, thank you for joining us. Khalil says, congrats on 3,000 subs. I'm holding off on getting SMT3 Remastered till Atlas says anything regarding the P anniversary. Yeah, and also, I mean, hey, literally, again, take this to the bank, guys. Persona 5 Strikers is literally $40 now, less than 2 months into release. If you wait a month, I promise you, like, not Persona. If you wait a month after May, I promise in June that SMT3 Remaster is going to be, like, at least $40, if not cheaper. Rito says, I just don't want Atlas leaning in to start making exclusive content for mobile. SMT1 and IF and any other ports are alright, although they are stuck in those lost versions of iOS. To be fair, that's not mobile gaming's fault. SMT1, 2, and IF being lost isn't a mobile phone or an Atlas problem. It's literally Atlas being a lazy developer. Atlas doesn't want to go back and find the contract work. Go back to the contract company they made those ports with and go, hey, will you make this work on iOS, like whatever, 10 or 11 it was? And because they'd rather just pull it from the store than have to hire that company again to fix it. Because the game wasn't already making sales for them. Sold like terrible in the West and didn't even sell that well in Japan to begin with. But it was also a low effort fund. I love that everyone in the chat knew the DX2 besides me, so thank you very much. You wouldn't download a demon. You wouldn't download a car. NP says, if mobile gaming becomes successful, then we can kiss an already dead-ass SMT series goodbye. I mean, honestly, DX2 is profitable for Atlas, so by that same logic, like, they tested it out with SMT before they did with Persona. If anything, I think DX2 has probably made them more interested in going into mobile. The question, though, is this, like, because it's going to be an MMORPG, I am immediately more likely to try this than anything gacha. Like, I tried the betas and the early access, and, like, I was one of the original testers for DX2 when it had a worldwide launch, and, like, even with all of my, like, okay, you do a show about this, push through, like, just all the gacha elements made me so skeezed out of my mind, like, I just couldn't do it. Juliar says, assuming it even has voice acting to begin with, 100% this will have voice acting. Like, in a silent MMO in 2021, even on phones, would be, insane. Jackus or Jock says, boy, I'm just like the worst today, so apologies for this. Says, Nocturne would run better on phones than it does on Switch. 100% true. Remember, the Switch is running on a Tegra chip from 2016, like a 5-year-old like mobile chip from Nvidia. Lord of the Black Flame says, they would have to do a good port for that to happen. Yeah, it's like, hey, you can bring it to other systems, but yeah, Nocturne's going to be Nocturne at the end of the day. It's just like Jackpot. Okay. Never heard that before, but okay. Demikar says, I prefer if they did a Persona dancing game like that, the Hatsune Miku tap mobile game. Yeah, the dancing games never coming to mobile blew my mind. Like, they literally every one of them, Persona 3, 4, and 5 dancing, all work entirely with the touchscreen from the Vita version, so it's very, very strange. So yeah, that's kind of it. We've bled as much Codename X talk as we really can out of that. If anyone has any questions or even topics they want to talk about, let me know. If you have any other hot takes with Codename X, let me know there. While I wait for any questions, I'm gonna vamp and just say this: hey, if you have a PlayStation 5, just do me a favor and download Oddworld Soulstorm. Add it to your library, give like the first 2 or 3 levels a shot, because I am amazed at like how few people are talking about this game. It is a free game on PlayStation Plus, on PlayStation 5 when there's not a ton of games out there, and it just, like, I've seen more talk for Outriders than a new Oddworld game, and it just blows my mind. Like, I know Oddworld is not a popular series. Very aware of that. I will always be very aware of that. But like, I figured after like all of the showcases they were in, all of the like PlayStation like appearances, the free on PlayStation thing, it's like so weird. Like, I'm looking at it on OpenCritic right now. Oddworld Soulstorm is at a 72. And I'm like, I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. It's a puzzle platformer. It looks gorgeous. It's like the best looking Unity game I've ever seen in my life. I don't know if it's because it's $50 that's scaring people away. I don't know if PS4, PS5, and Epic Games is what's like maybe keeping people busy. But like literally no one in the media is talking about this game. If you're a fan, you're talking about it. If you're an influencer and are in the game, you're talking about it, obviously. But in terms of just people reviewing the game, they're very few and far between. So I don't know if people were just busy jerking off Outriders for 2 weeks in a row or what happened, but that's my little PSA for anyone out there because, man, it's so dumb. Oh, interesting comment. Megidomon says, am I a dumbass for buying the Ultimate Edition of Persona 4 Arena Ultimax for $80 on PlayStation 3? If you didn't already have that game physically, and you liked the DLC, I think that's actually not a terrible thing to have bought. I'll say that. The reason is... man. That's tough. That's, like, really tough. So, I love that game. I mean, the physical copies I'm sure are going to make good, and this way you've got all the DLC and don't gotta worry about it. So, you know what? Similar to what Lord of Black Flame says, don't worry about it, and that goes for all of those, like, DLC things. Anything outside of, like, the really kind of skeezy DLC practices stuff, don't feel bad about buying them up while you can, because guess what? It's better to kick yourself in the butt for buying something you didn't need than looking back on it and going, oh, God, I wish I could have gotten that. Also, very bad plug time. But hey, if you want to learn about Lost Dimensions getting canceled along with Utawari Ramono and Dungeon Travelers 2, check out my video. Thank you so much if you have. Frankie Rue says, could you see Atlas doing a SMT4 port in the distant years? It would take a lot of effort to make it right, and on the original plays fine. That's the tough part, Frankie. I've talked about this a little bit in my like SMT4 skipping a physical release in Europe, but it's really tough because like it's a great game. It still holds up. I gotta stop yawning. I mean, my day job is killing me slowly, but it's a great game. The music still super, super well holds up. And, oh man, it's tough. Because, like, design-wise, you'd have to change nothing. The fact that it's on a 3DS, like, really did little. Like, yeah, there's some UI stuff you have to bring up for it, but I think the biggest hurdle with SMT4 Duology is it's so low resolution that, like, they'd really have to go in and touch up those textures. And, like, the 2D stuff is fine. Seriously, I'm boring myself to sleep here. I'm very sorry, everybody. But I did not want to delay the podcast any longer. But, like, everything else is kind of fine, except just all those 3D elements are going to look terrible on anything that's not a 3DS screen. Like, even when you play SMT4 in a emulator, like, a up-res emulator, that game still looks like chunky hot sauce. Lost and Found Skate. Do you think Atlus cares more about Persona than SMT at this point? I think more than ever now we're at a turning point. The last few years have definitely not been profitable for SMT outside of the mobile game or whatever. But there's also not been a lot to go off of. We've not had a real SMT game since... why am I forgetting Deep Strange Journey this long? So yeah, it's been a couple of years since... Stop yawning, my lord. It's been a couple of years since Deep Strange Journey, Redux, all titles combined, but that being kind of a wet fart definitely didn't help. That being on the 3DS only in a post-Switch world definitely didn't help. I think Nintendo, Lord of Black says, does Atlus? No. Does Sega? Maybe. I think Nintendo is, like, literally the only reason SMT5 is happening. I genuinely don't think Atlus would fund SMT5 without Nintendo's blessing. Not Nintendo's blessing like they need it, but, like, their financial blessing, if that makes any sense. Chirp. Great call talking about Ultimax's DLC. I like how the Ultimax DLC only has DLC music for the first two Persona 3 movies because Atlus abandons games immediately after release. Yeah, the old tried and true kind of formula, sadly, of like Atlus's thing of finish all of the DLC before the game's done, and then once it's out, you're never touching it again. So anytime you ever see a patch for a Persona game, no, you're a truly, truly lucky man, or the game was very, very broken. That kind of seems it for questions. I'm going to go to Twitter really quick. If anyone has any last-minute questions, let me know, just so I can stop yawning on everybody. So apologies for being a total snooze cake. But yes, Twitter, did we have any questions? I know there was like a thread of people talking before. Persona Forever says, do you think SMT5 will be very popular? And do you think it'll bring new people into SMT who weren't already into Persona? I think yes, literally just the fact that it's a Switch exclusive. I think if you release something like Bravely Default on any other system... Again, need to stop yawning. It's very bad. But I think if you see something like... If you see something like Bravely Default 2 on mobile phones, no one would care about it. Like, look at that new Mistwalker game. I think it's called, like, Fantasia. Looks amazing, and I've heard, like, nobody talking about it. It's from the original guy of Final Fantasy and his dev team. Looks awesome. It's all made of dioramas. I've heard more people talk about Bravely Default 2 than that, just for the fact that, like, where it's at. And the fact that it's a Switch exclusive helped it a lot. Persona Forever is not going to be listening to the podcast live today due to being in the hospital because of COVID. So everybody give a shout out either in live chat to Persona Forever, or if you have a Twitter, tweet at Persona 4 the letter E. It's just Persona 4E. Man, that really sucks. I hope you feel better. As someone who got COVID and did not have to go to the hospital but felt like dying, I hope you feel better and can get vaccinated very soon, my man. That is terrible. Also says, whatever the final sequel to Persona 5 is, whether it be Arena or Strikers 2, when do you think we'll get an announcement? I'll say this. I think you're getting something announced this year, or P5 is going night-night. Not like dead, but just like going to sleep for a while. Similar to how PQ2 didn't happen for many years after Persona 4 Dancing. Megadomon had another good question. Do you think that the Nocturne HD patches will be on the disc? So, if Strikers is anything to kind of run by, I would say yes. It will be on the disc. The question, though, is like... What's really weird is like... I don't know if that team is done. I know the game's been submitted. Like, I know that that's the case, but like... They could still make that game better, so I'm in a weird kind of spot right now of like, okay, I'm glad we're going to be getting all the patches Japan got on a disc, like on the disc and cartridge, but I kind of want you to make the game better, even though I know you've already submitted the game. It really goes to like kind of show like it really sucks. Like whenever I've talked to anyone at Atlas West about this, I'm like, hey, are you going to patch the game? Are you going to like be fixing this or updating this or keeping an eye on the situation? It's just been falling on deaf ears. And what sucks too is like now that like stuff like Strikers is getting patches on... What was it? Now that things like Strikers are getting patches on PC but no word on console, I don't like how these kind of ecosystems are being separated. Like the whole point of putting everything on everything should be that everything is the same experience whenever possible on everything. NP, let me know whatever it was you wanted me to guess, because I promise I will be very bad at guessing. Coogan, I will 1000% be getting Nier Replicant version 1.23897865431 ... Day one, love Nier 1, never played Replicant obviously because of Japan, and love Nier Automata. I will say this, I've been feverishly trying to get one of the restocked collector's edition for it, almost entirely for the Steelbook. That's like the only thing I want out of that set, and I'm like, if I could get it for MSRP, I don't mind paying MSRP, but it has been so painful. Like, the few times it gets back in stock, I never get notified by Square Enix. It always is just super random, and I've had that tab open in my phone for, like, months now. Let us see what other questions or comments we had here. NP says, Nocturne is Nocturne more likely to be better on PS4 or Switch at this point? My guess is PS4. The problems that are present in the Nocturne remaster, it's not really that different from version to version. The crashes are on one version that aren't necessarily always going to be on the other, but outside of very, very minor load times, like for Switch, I noted 3-second loads in when going into new areas, like Fade from Black, 3 seconds back into the screen. PS4 and PS4 Pro is like 2 seconds, and PS5 is like a second. So outside of having a little bit faster loading, not too much. So for Nocturne, I think when someone has asked me about this, of like, what's the version you pick? I say if portability is important to you, go with Switch. If you love trophies like me, go with PS4 and PS5. If you just want the freedom of having PC, I promise you probably already wanted the PC version. Also, mods, I'm sure will be fun. Will probably be the last two questions of the night, just because I need to stop yawning and dying. Anime for the Win says, what do you think SMT5 has to pull off to sell more than Persona 5? No, not including Joker as a cameo battle. SMT's never really done, like, Persona cameo battles, thank God. I think, at the very least, there's going to be SMT 1, 2, 3, and 4 DLC or cameos somewhere. Or paid cameo DLC if P5R is anything to go off of. Honestly, they just gotta have a good release timing, have the game look good, and have that good word of mouth. There's nothing stopping SMT5 from not selling as well as P5. Like, they have everything behind them. If they get Nintendo's backing and that game kicks ass, I guarantee, there's nothing stopping SMT5 from becoming the next Persona 5 in terms of popularity. Thunderstake 999 999 9 doors 9 peoples 9 problems. Do you think Atlas would bring over Persona 1 and both Persona 2 games for the remaster? 1000%. It's like the easiest money can buy. Like, get somebody cheap, make a halfway decent port of the PSP 3 games, like, just call it the Persona Classics Collection, include Persona 1, Persona 2 Duology, include an option for soundtrack switching if you want. There you go, charge $30 to $40 and everyone would buy that up. That'd be like such a... It would be such a like easy sell. It's like embarrassing that they haven't done that at all to begin with. And I guess final question, Lost and Found Skate says, when do you think SMT5 will release? I'm very big into the camp of it's not happening this year, not because of X or Y reason. It's literally this. It's April. There's not a single second of gameplay footage. That has already been a very troubled development, and there's nothing forcing them to release it this year. Say what you will about that trailer they showed last year, but guess what? They can just as easily delay into 2022, and the fans who will want it will still be there. Like, they know that they at least have one or two more delays in them without losing their fans. Alright, so, would like to once again apologize for being a shorter show. It's just me, not a lot of news. My day job is sucking my will to live, but I need to pay rent, so that's a thing. If you would like to help me pay rent, you can go to patreon.com/SMTN. That's where all the bills are paid, or at least very, very minutely paid in small increments, so... thanks to all the patrons who are on there, and anyone who supports me at any amount. It is always super, super appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching live. If you would like to watch this show live, whether it be on YouTube or whatnot, you can go to youtube.com and just search SMTN, Shin Megami Tensei Network, or Spencer Presley. The shows are always there, different editorials I'll upload it on the channel. You can follow me on Twitter. I am at Torchwood4SP. The podcast is at SMT Network. You can also join the Facebook group by going to facebook.com/groups/SMT Network. Yes, SMT Network. You can go to the SMTN Facebook page if you do just want to keep up with us there. That being said, thank you all so much for watching. If you helped us reach 3K, thank you so much. I don't know why I said us. I guess I mean SMTN as a group. Speaking of group, though, the Facebook group actually just hit... what did we hit? We hit 8,000 members today, which is awesome. That Facebook group has been going on since 2012, so that's been really, really cool to always be active in there, talk to fun people, show off collection posts. Really, really good place there if you like making friends with people who are a big fan of Atlas games and different stuff like that. Always a good thing to recommend. Don't ever talk about the Facebook group enough. But yeah, besides that, thank you all so much for watching live. If you watched this on iTunes, Spotify, or Google, thank you so much. Please consider subscribing or rating or whatever you can do to help spread the word. I promise it helps. Anyone who listens or tells their friends or just kind of like reviews the show, everything is appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching, listening, enjoying the show live. I will see you all next week, and until then, Codename X, will you finally be announced by then? I don't know. But I gotta say goodbye, so goodbye, world. Goodbye.